Thank you very much, Adrian. Afternoon, everybody. So the French had the chance to close out Group C with 3 wins out of 3 in Moscow. The only time they've done that before in a World Cup group stage was the year they won it 20 years ago on home soil. Their victims in that third group stage game, it was Denmark, who they face here in the Luzhniki, with the Danes needing a point to qualify and keep Australia at bay if they get past Peru in Group C's other game. That's about to kick off over on TalkSport 2. Didier Deschamps had options to rest some senior players ahead of the knockout tests to come, and he's done that. 6 changes in all. Out go Lloris, Matuidi, Pavard, Umtiti, Pogba and Mbappe. Here's the French lineup. Mandonda's the goalkeeper, making his first start in a finals tournament game for the French. Sidibe, Varane, Kimpembe and Hernandez are the rejigged back 4. Kante is partnered in midfield by Steven Nzonzi, once of Stoke City and Blackburn. And then Thomas Lemar, Griezmann and Dembele play as a 3 in behind Olivier Giroud. As for Denmark, 3 changes for them as they bid to get that point that they need. Christian Eriksen, of course, pivotal to their hopes of qualification. It's Kasper Schmeichel in goal for them. A back 4 of Henrik Dalsgaard of Brentford, Simon Kjær, Andreas Christensen of Chelsea and Jens Striegel Larsen. And then Huddersfield's Matthijs Jorgensen, Zanka, plays alongside Thomas Delaney in defensive midfield. Pione Sisto, Christian Eriksen and Martin Brathwaite are a 3 in behind Andreas Cornelius up top for the Danes. The French are wearing their change strip today of white shirts with the dark blue shorts and white socks, and they'll be attacking the end away to our left from our commentary position, which is where all the Danish fans are housed. And as it's notionally Denmark's home game, this, they get first dibs on the strip, so of course they're wearing their traditional up top for the Danes. The French are wearing their change strip today of white shirts with the dark blue shorts and white socks, and they'll be attacking the end away to our left from our commentary position, which is where all the Danish fans are housed. And as it's notionally Denmark's home game, this, they get first dibs on the strip, so of course they're wearing their traditional red shirts, white shorts and red socks. They just break away from their huddle. Let's get the free kick-off thoughts of my match summarised alongside me for TalkSport. Matt Holland.
Well, France only need a point to top the group. Denmark need a point to qualify. The conspiracy theorists amongst us might think that's the way it'll play out. I actually think the teams that France have selected is strong enough to beat this Danish side. The interesting thing for me is the selection and the team shape that Denmark provide us today, and who plays where. We thought that it might be a back 3 at one stage. I think it looks like a back 4.
It certainly looks to be that way. Although the funny thing is, it looks to me like it's Kjær and Zanka, Matthijs Jorgensen, playing as centre-halves, and it actually looks like it's Chelsea's Andreas Christensen who's going to be playing as the defensive midfielder alongside Thomas Delaney. Certainly that's the way they're lined up. The 10-1 countdown starts on the massive screens either side of us at each end of the Luzhniki Stadium, and as we reach number 1, our Brazilian referee Sandor Henrique gets us underway. France have kick-off and they immediately work the ball out to Djibril Sidibe in the right-back position. The sun's gone behind the clouds that are behind our section of the stadium, so at the moment the whole pitch is in shade. But as Djibril Sidibe looks to receive the ball off Raphael Varane, he's in the one area of the pitch that will still get some last shots of late afternoon sunshine here in Moscow. We're 2 hours ahead of you listening in the UK, of course. Just gone 5 o'clock local time. Chance for Pablo Hernandez to come forward for the first time. Lucas Hernandez, sorry, for the French. And N'Golo Kante, busy as always, just in front of the centre circle. Looks for Sidibe on the right-hand side. He plays a little 1-2 with Ousmane Dembele of Barcelona. And it's all possession in these opening few seconds for the French. A minute gone, and I don't think the Danes have touched it yet, Matt Holland.
Well, that's just because they've retreated. They just got back into a shape. Simple as that. It's 4-4-1-1. Eriksen just playing off Cornelius, but they just dropped and allowed France to have the ball in deep areas.
Back it goes to Steve Mandanda of Marseille, who had that brief spell at Crystal Palace the season before last, 16-17. Didn't quite work out for him there. 10 years at Marseille, which is where he went back to after it didn't work out for him at Selhurst Park. Griezmann gets his first touch for the French. Down the right-hand side, hugging the touchline. Dembele's there with him. Dembele runs into Sisto, who tries to take the ball off his toe, but Dembele does well to tigerishly win it back. Griezmann still stuck out on the right-hand side. Lovely ball down the flank for Sidibe to get a cross in, and Jorgensen gets it clear for Denmark. Sisto under a bit too much pressure from Griezmann, who shoves him over, and Denmark get a free kick and a chance to clear their lines and frankly get some possession here on TalkSport. 0-0.
There's a lot of intensity about France's start to the game, and even when they lost the ball, the intensity to try and win the ball back was there for everyone to see. Griezmann closing down quickly. Okay, he gave a free kick away, but they look to be at it, France.
Denmark, don't forget, are unbeaten in 17 internationals. It's their best ever run at international level. And when they conceded that goal to Australia, that was their first that they'd let in 571 minutes of football. So it's by no means a given that France will be able to get past them with ease this afternoon on TalkSport. Chance for Thomas Delaney to find Christian Eriksen for the first time this afternoon. He goes to ground midway inside the French half, but he's won it back. Cornelius goes to ground. He wanted a free kick, so did the Danish fans away to our left, but the referee says nothing doing. And Jens Stryger Larsen, the left back, can also play on the other side of the field on the right, rolls the ball back to Kasper Schmeichel, a man we of course know all too well watching English football.
Very tight and congested in the middle of the field, but both sides have the option of going long. Cornelius, we talked about already, that big unit up top for Denmark, but likewise France. If they do sit back, Denmark, then they have got the option to go up to Giroud and try and play off him.
Cornelius flicks the ball out to the right hand side where Brathwaite lobs the ball over a player, goes into the area and goes down. Watching English football.
Very tight and congested in the middle of the field, but both sides have the option of going long. Cornelius, we talked about already, that big unit up top for Denmark, but likewise France. If they do sit back, Denmark, then they have got the option to go up to Giroud and try and play off him.
Cornelius flicks the ball out to the right hand side where Brathwaite lobs the ball over a player, goes into the area and goes down, wanting a penalty after a challenge from Kimpembe. Nothing doing, says the referee, and now Hernandez goes down under pressure from Cornelius, and that is a free kick according to the referee. What did you make of that as Brathwaite went down, Matt Holland?
Well, Christian Eriksen, straight away he went over to the assistant and said, the television screen, I've just seen the replay and I think it would have been very soft. There's no way that's a penalty. There's nowhere near enough contact from Kimpembe. They are checking though, it has gone to VAR.
Yeah, check over. We have a little indicator on the monitors up here in our commentary position in the news, Nicky, that can keep us bang up to date so we can keep you informed on TalkSport.
Well, we haven't always agreed with VAR, but I do on this occasion.
Look, Adrian's sitting next to you. Don't wind him up again.
He loves Isco, but not VAR.
Who's VAR play for? Anyway, the ball's gone out of play. Denmark will have a throw in their own right-back position to be taken by Henrik Dalsgaard of Brentford. Played at Zulte Waregem. 32 appearance for the Bees last season. Very neat and tidy fullback when I've seen him play. Last game I saw him play was at Ashton Gate against Bristol City, and I thought he was terrific. He had the throw for Denmark, throws it into the French half, headed infield by Cornelius, but there's nobody there up in support, so Sidibe can guide the ball back to Steve Mondunda. Checks onto his left, not the greatest clearance, into the centre circle. Sorry, Matt.
Sisto was too wide.
Yeah.
When Cornelius flicked that ball on, he's got to get support up to him, and it's down to Brathwaite and Sisto to get close.
France in possession. We've played 5 minutes on TalkSport. Denmark 0, France 0 in Group C. Remember, tail of the tape, Denmark need a point to qualify. France looking for 3 out of 3 wins to top the group, and Australia lurk in Sochi against Peru. If they can score and get themselves in front, that will put Denmark under pressure, but a point will be enough. And they're streaming forward now, the Danes, with Brathwaite again in the inside right position. Goes into the area. Kante tries to go with him. He's got to the byline and scored it across, and it hit Kante and went behind for a corner. Great persistence from Martin Brathwaite to win the corner for the Danes. 0-0.
He's had a good start to the game. Brathwaite looked lively, positive, looking to take people on. I'll tell you how important though is N'Golo Kante to this side, to Chelsea as well, and he just covers defensive mistakes so often.
Well, the comment is there's normally surprised that there's not 2 N'Golo Kantes out there in any game of football. First corner of the game then to the Danes as we approach 6 minutes on TalkSport. Eriksen will take it. A right-footed outswinger from the near side to us, the Danish right. Jorgensen's in the 6-yard box. Players making a run across him. Now one of them is Chair, and his header goes way over the bar in the end. It actually deflected, did it off a French head. No, the referee saying it is a goal kick, and Chair got the last touch. 0-0.
Well, there's no pulling and pushing on that occasion. You'd be stupid to do so, wouldn't you? The amount of penalties that we've seen given through VAR for that type of incident.
Didn't stop the Panamanians. Goal kick taken quickly by the French. Out to the right hand side, it's taken short to Djibril Sidibe. Coming in today for Pavard at right back. Varane of Real Madrid, a real Rolls Royce of a centre half, plays a square ball to Kimpembe, and then Lucas Hernandez of Atletico Madrid driving forward down the left channel. It even slides the challenge from Dalsgaard. It's a huge cheer from the Danish contingent away to our left, but it is a throw to the French. 5 yards on the corner flag, left hand side. Lucas Hernandez looks to take it short, wants to get it back from Steven Nzonzi, and the whistle's gone for offside, I think. against the French, and Denmark have themselves a free kick.
No, the ball was out. It was a poor touch from Hernandez. They're going to be important, actually, the two full-backs for France today. I expect them to have an awful lot of the ball. What's their quality delivery like? Is it going to be good enough?
Free kick then or throw in rather, to Denmark, just ahead of the edge of their own penalty area, right-hand side, and Dalsgaard will look long down the right-hand touchline for Cornelius. It bounces away from him. Hernandez and Kimpembe tidy things up for France and send the ball back to Mandanda. The Rans come short.
What's their quality delivery like? Is it going to be good enough?
Free kick then or throw in rather, to Denmark, just ahead of the edge of their own penalty area, right-hand side, and Dalsgaard will look long down the right-hand touchline for Cornelius. It bounces away from him. Hernandez and Kimpembe tidy things up for France and send the ball back to Mandanda. The Rans come short to pick it up from him and will trot forward in possession for France. 7.5 gone on TalkSport. It's 0-0 here.
Fascinated to see how Steven Zonzi gets on in midfield as well.
Yep.
Playing in place of Paul Pogba today.
Chance for Dembele to release Griezmann down the right-hand side, and he's done that. His cross into the near post was intended for Giroud, but Zanka got across and put it out of play for a French throw. Quickly taken. N'Golo Kante, right-hand side, clips the ball into the area. Only Giroud in there, and it's way over his head, and a comfortable claim for Kasper Schmeichel. 0-0.
I've been impressed by Griezmann's movement so far, because it's tight and it's congested. You've got Christensen and Delaney playing just in front of that back four, so there's not a lot of space, but he's drifted into that wide position, just finding half a yard and being able to get on the half turn and play forward.
He's got 4 shots on target already in Group C, the most of anybody in the 4 teams in this group. Antoine Griezmann. And there's a collector's item. I've just seen Christian Eriksen pass the ball out of play with no Danish defender within 5 yards of it. Got his radar all wrong there, Christian Eriksen. France have a throw. Lucas Hernandez looks for Olivier Giroud, chests it down, but he's dispossessed, and Thomas Delaney and Pione Sisto win the ball back for Denmark. It's now back in the centre circle with Matthias Jorgensen. Next to him, Simon Kjær. Now Dalsgaard slides it down the right-hand side, looking for Braithwaite, but Lucas Hernandez watched him well. Only got his first call up, Lucas Hernandez, in March for games against Colombia and Russia in friendlies, but he's kept his place at left-back today, the Atletico Madrid star.
Just watching Denmark there, don't be afraid of playing to your strengths. You know, they've got Cornelius up front. He pulled onto Sidibe, who's not the biggest, to hit that big diagonal and try and play in France's half, because France have had so much possession and have been forcing Denmark back. Don't be afraid to hit that longer one.
Well, a wasteful crossfield pass from the French that time, looking to seek out Hernandez on this near side. It skimmed off the top of his head and out for a throw to Denmark. You're listening to World Cup Live on TalkSport. No goals here between Denmark and France. No goals yet in Sochi either between Australia and Peru. That's live on TalkSport 2 right now with Alan Parry and Clive Allen, your commentary team for that game in Sochi. Kjær firing the ball down the inside right channel again, asking Braithwaite to give chase, and he's putting Hernandez and Sidibe and Kimpembe under pressure. But the ball's actually watched behind by the 2 French defenders. Braithwaite can't believe he's not been given a free kick or a foul, and it's a goal kick to France. 0-0.
He's looking for a corner. I'm pretty sure as well that this came off Kimpembe. It certainly does. I can't believe that isn't a corner.
It's been given as a goal kick, or is it a free kick? Because actually the ball's been spotted by Mandanda midway point of his own penalty area, not on the edge of the 6-yard box. So it must have been a free kick against Braithwaite given by the Brazilian referee. And Mandanda sends the kick downfield. Giroud's got 2 with him, Christensen and Dalsgaard. It is interesting, Christensen is defensive midfielder for Denmark. We're so used to seeing him as the 3 at the back for Chelsea, of course.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk that it would be Jorgensen of Huddersfield that would play in midfield. I think it makes more sense, doesn't it, to have Christensen in there? He's a better footballer, better on the ball. So it just makes more sense, I think, rather than Jorgensen in there.
Yep. Joined Chelsea 6 years ago, instead of going to clubs like Bayern Munich and Manchester City, who were showing interest. He had a 2-year loan at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Future Chelsea captain? I think so. He's got it in him. Goal kick to Denmark meantime. 0-0 on TalkSport. We played 11 minutes in the Luzhniki Stadium. Here is Christensen of Chelsea in that defensive midfield position, being put under pressure by Griezmann. Fires the ball out looking for Sisto on the left hand side. It comes back his way via a deflection, and then Eriksen turns the ball down the left hand side, asking Sisto to give chase. But that's comfortably tidied up by Djibril Sidibe. And Mandanda, who's a very left-footed goalkeeper, takes the ball deliberately onto his left and clears it downfield, but Denmark win it back.
Sisto on his heels again. You know, when Eriksen gets that ball, he's got the vision to pick you out, and he just stood still, waiting for the ball to feet. It was quite clear the space was in behind.
Matt Holland alongside me, Ian Danta on TalkSport here in the... But that's comfortably tidied up by Djibril Sidibe. And Mandanda, who's a very left-footed goalkeeper, takes the ball deliberately onto his left and clears it downfield, but Denmark win it back.
Sisto on his heels again. You know, when Eriksson gets that ball, he's got the vision to pick you out, and he just stood still, waiting for the ball to feet. It was quite clear the space was in behind.
Matt Holland alongside me, Ian Danta on Talk Sport here in the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. 0-0 between France and Denmark. A scoreline that will send both sides through. Denmark only need a point and France have already qualified. France in possession with Djibril Sidibe. N'Golo Kante drops deep to pick at the ball and moves towards the halfway line. Onto the halfway line, looking for Thomas Lemar. One of the 6 changes made by Didier Deschamps this afternoon to bring the Monaco midfielder in. Now it's Kimpembe. Out to Hernandez on the left-hand side for France. Giroud makes a run, but he's not used. Instead, it's Griezmann who has his back to the penalty area. Gives the ball back to Steven Nzonzi. Griezmann has it again, floating down this left-hand channel. Now, he tried to find Hernandez over the top, but that was watched by Dalsgaard and put out for a throw. But Griezmann's been very busy in this opening 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah, very lively. They need him at his best as well if they're going to go far in this competition.
Hernandez finds Griezmann again on the left-hand side, and Nzonzi hugging the left-hand touchline plays the ball in field to Lemar. And that's worked back to Varane, and straight out to the far side of the field from us, the French right and Djibril Sidibe. Ousmane Dembélé trying to get the better of Steiger Larsen on that far side of the field. And then Sidibe putting the pressure by Sisto. Kante turns the ball away, but then loses out to Eriksson. He plays the ball up to the halfway line of Cornelius. Cornelius running out to the left-hand touchline. Can't get the ball away from Raphael Varane. Varane sees Sisto poke the ball out of play for a French throw. 0-0. 13 and a half minutes played on Talk Sport.
Cornelius has got to do better than that. When the ball goes up to him, he's got to protect it. He's got to make sure he gives his midfielders to get up, time to get up and in support of him.
Hernandez in possession for the French. Rolls it back a couple of yards to Steven Nzonzi. Lemar being watched all the way by his number 6 opposite player, Andreas Christensen. Now Varane out to the right-hand side, looking for Djibril Sidibe, fetched up by Sisto, steps in field, tried to thread the ball through to the edge of the area for Thomas Lemar. It's half cleared by Denmark, but back to the white shirts of France. And Djibril Sidibe and Dembélé combining on the right-hand side. Now being helped out by Griezmann. Neat ball in field for Lemar. Space on the left-hand side for Hernandez if Nzonzi can find him. He does with a clip ball out to this near side. Hernandez rolls the ball into the feet of Giroud inside the area. Giroud gets it back and tries to drive, and well, Schmeichel was forced to palm it behind. It was looking to me like it was going to hit the angle of post and bar, and Schmeichel got something on it to put it behind. And meantime, Lucas Hernandez has stayed down in the penalty area after playing that 1-2 with Giroud. But when we get things back in the way, it will be a French corner at 0-0.
Yeah, he was caught in just playing the ball back to Giroud. Giroud got the ball somewhat stuck underneath his feet. Couldn't quite get the power that he would have liked to have done. It was finding its way to the top corner though. It was an important save from Kasper Schmeichel, diving away to his right. He's going to have a good game if Denmark are going to get the point that they need to get through to that last 16.
French corner, their first of the game, on the left-hand side. So a left-footed outswinger to come from Thomas Lemar. Griezmann standing on the edge of the 6-yard line. Everybody else in French white amassed around the edge of the penalty area. 3 of them all standing in a line. Giroud one of them, Varane there too, and Kimpembe will presumably will break away as Lemar strides toward the ball. Referee just having a word with a couple of players, making sure that there's no holding. There's nothing I can see that looks particularly illegal going on in there. Here comes the kick from Lemar onto around the penalty spot, and up went Varane with a header, but it skimmed off the side of his head and went behind for a Danish goal kick. 15 minutes gone on Talk Sport. It is Denmark 0, France 0 in Group C.
You know, it's funny looking at France's record in qualifying. They only scored 18 goals in 10 games. That really surprised me when I saw that stat. I mean, it's particularly when you look at the quality of attacking players that they've got. I mean, it's amazing that they only scored 18 in those 10 games.
But at the same time, they did only concede 6. And they scored less than Sweden and the Netherlands in their group, but went through comfortably enough. Sweden, of course, got through in the playoffs. Here's Sisto for Denmark.
The quality of attacking players that they've got. I mean, it's amazing that they only scored 18 in those 10 games.
But at the same time, they did only concede 6. And they scored less than Sweden and the Netherlands in their group, but went through comfortably enough. Sweden, of course, got through in the playoffs. Here's Sisto for Denmark. Out on the left-hand side, just travels into that shaft of sunlight on that very far side of the field. One back by France, and Djibril Sidibe plays the ball into Giroud inside the own half. He was trying to find Kante just behind him, but the ball went behind Kante through to Raphael Varane just in front of his own 18-yard line. Dembélé lets the ball run under his feet. And Kante picks it up again just shy of the halfway line for France. Hernandez calling for it again on this near side, and he'll get it as Kante clips a lovely ball out to him. Hernandez plays the ball back to Thomas Lemar, and Zonzi, tall, rangy midfielder, player of the year at Stoke before he went to Sevilla. These interesting Premier League clubs again, I understand. Steven and Zonzi. Rafael Varane plays the ball to Griezmann, flicks it straight back to Thomas Lemar. Griezmann again, real busy bee in this opening quarter for France. Griezmann. Hernandez again on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the area, rolls it back for Thomas Lemar. Griezmann again calls for it down the left-hand side, but this time his ball in field intended for Lemar is a bit lax, and it allows Denmark to break. And it's Andreas Cornelius breaking into the French half, right-hand side, tries to take on Kimpembe for pace. Kimpembe puts the ball out, but it came off Cornelius last of all, according to the assistant, and France have a throw. And yet to see Denmark really do anything of note in the final third of the field. 0-0.
I was about to say actually that, you know, we haven't seen a 0-0 in this tournament. You get the feeling they've almost come for one, Denmark, because they know that point will get them through to that last 16.
But here is Ousmane Dembélé for France, poking the ball down the right-hand side. Sidibé's made a run from right back, clips the ball into the area, headed clear first of all by Christensen, and then Sisto hooked it further clear, but the French will win it back midway point of the Denmark half. Antoine Griezmann plays the ball into the feet of Dembélé. Griezmann's gone again into the area, right-hand side. Great pace as he got into the area, but he got the final touch, couldn't get past Jorgensen, and it's a goal kick to Denmark and stays 0-0.
Well, he's been the best player on the pitch in the opening 20 minutes. Very lively performance from him. I think that Denmark have allowed France to get into their own half far too easily, if I'm honest. You know, every time that France get the ball in the back four, they just sit back, allow France to get into their half, and I think it's been too easy for them.
Well, Peru have the lead in Sochi against Australia. Carrillo with the goal for Peru. And once the Danish fans get word of that, they'll be up and at 'em away to our left-hand side, because that puts them in the box seat, and they're just finding out now, the Denmark fans. That game's live over on TalkSport 2 with Alan Parry and Clive Allen. But Australia needed to win that, and they're a goal down in Sochi by the Black Sea. Here in Russia's capital city, we've played 19 minutes on TalkSport. Denmark 0, France 0 in Group C. Group D finishes tonight, and Argentina-Nigeria is on TalkSport. Iceland-Croatia on TalkSport 2. TalkSport, the only station bringing you every single game live of this 2018 World Cup on the UK radio. Kasper Schmeichel has the ball in his hands. The ball's lobbed back to him, and he will take a free kick from the midway point of his own half. Cornelius has Brathwaite just to his right, but again Sisto looks to be a little bit too far back from play as the free kick's delivered by Schmeichel, but a really poor effort. He was trying to float it out to the right-hand side for either Brathwaite or Dalsgaard, and it went straight in between them and out of play for a France throw, 0-0.
Well, I'm not entirely sure why. Just hit Cornelius on the top of the head and get Brathwaite and Sisto to get close to him and try and win the second balls.
And Zonzi for France gives the ball back to Hernandez. Kimpembe rolls the ball back to Mandanda, controls it on his right foot this time and clears over the halfway line. Giroud goes up to the header with Cher, but Cher wins the header comfortably for Denmark. It's back with Dalsgaard, across for Jorgensen, immediately closed down by Giroud. Sisto tries to turn away from trouble on the halfway line, rolls the ball back to Mandanda, controls it on his right foot this time and clears over the halfway line. Giroud goes up to the header with Cher, but Cher wins the header comfortably for Denmark. It's back with Dalsgaard, across for Jorgensen, immediately closed down by Giroud. Sisto tries to turn away from trouble on the halfway line, and it was Sidibé that went in to engage him. Another long ball downfield from Kasper Schmeichel. Sisto not looking at the ball, almost jumped into Sidibé, but Sidibé comfortably won the header anyway. And now Dembélé and Griezmann combined, but that's too clever from Griezmann. Lemar couldn't pick that up, his little flick. Instead he's won back by Brathwaite of Denmark. Back it goes to Dalsgaard and then to Cher. Simon Cher just takes the game down to walking pace, and I think what Matt Holland said is right. I think what Denmark are happy to do is just contain.
Even more so now. Even more so now that Peru have taken the lead against Australia.
Yeah. Long ball downfield, looking for Brathwaite on the right-hand side for Denmark. Delaney turns the ball over the top this time, looking for Cornelius, fighting for it with Kimpembe. Comes off the chest of Kimpembe. Couldn't prevent the corner, I don't think. It's been given by the assistant on this near side. That was more like it from Cornelius. Good physicality, and he forced the France centre-half to give Denmark the corner on TalkSport, 0-0.
Well, it's a handful. There's a big lump. He's not afraid of chasing lost causes, and that's going to be important today.
Mexican wave going around the Luzhniki Stadium. 80,000 people crammed into this fantastic arena once again. Eriksson with Denmark's second corner of the game. With his right foot from the right-hand side. Takes it deep to the far post. Couple of players went down inside the area. Recycled by Jorgensen into the box. Kimpembe heads clear. Might drop for Sisto here. Eriksson calling for it back on this near side on the right, but Sisto under pressure from Lamar has to go back to the halfway line. And it's Jens Stryger Larsen who's the last man for Denmark. Plays the ball square to his right, and Simon Kjær. And as Kjær looks for Eriksson down the right-hand side, overhit from Kjær, goes out of play for a French throw. 0-0, we're midway through the first half on TalkSport. Matt Holland.
Just trying to be a bit clever, Denmark. I know it sounds basic by playing the long ball up to Cornelius, but France are closing them down. They're pressing with some intensity. So just bypass the press, get it up to your front man, and play in their final third.
Still 1-0 to Peru. Wonderful hit apparently from Carrillo to put the Peruvians in front against Australia in Sochi. And there's enough Australian fans in Sochi. We saw them before we left after the Germany-Sweden game. They'd all travelled down for what was a very, very, very long weekend.
They kept us up till about 4 in the morning with their singing.
They did. But it's 0-0 here. Could this be a candidate for the first 0-0 of the tournament? That's 98 goals for the tournament, incidentally, with the goal that Carrillo has scored for Peru. 2 away from the century already. We're not even at the end of the group stage here on TalkSport. 0-0 in Luzhniki. France in possession. It's with Presnel Kimpembe of Paris Saint-Germain. Another late call-up for Deschamps. Only made his first appearance in March against Russia. And now it's Thomas Lemar on the halfway line. Plays the ball back into his own half for Raphael Varane. Varane looks up and sees Kante calling for it in the centre circle. Kante spins away to his right and finds Djibril Sidibé. Now it's Ousmane Dembélé into the feet of Olivier Giroud. Lovely ball down the inside right channel for Sidibé. Hits the ball against Jorgensen. Claims for a handball. It kind of hit the elbow as Jorgensen turned away. That's not a penalty, and the referee agrees.
Well, saw 2 like that last night. Both given.
That one was not. And Denmark clear their lines, but Jorgensen can't get a proper connection on the header as it reaches him just over the halfway line. And it's back with Mandanda once again for the French. France have only lost one of their last 14 internationals, so they've got pretty good form, unbeaten in 6. And Giroud, the man who knows how to score against Denmark, he scored France's last 3 goals against Danish opposition.
I tell you what, just watching there, and Zonzi picked the ball up in midfield and Griezmann made a run. Now I've got the feeling if that had been Pogba, he would have found him. He would have made that.
France have only lost one of their last 14 internationals, so they've got pretty good form, unbeaten in 6. And Giroud, the man who knows how to score against Denmark, he scored France's last 3 goals against Danish opposition.
I tell you what, just watching there, and Zonzi picked the ball up in midfield and Griezmann made a run. Now I've got the feeling if that had been Pogba, he would have found him. He would have made that run over the top. He'd have found that ball for Griezmann's run over the top.
Here's N'Golo Kante out to the right-hand side, looking for Ousmane Dembélé. Plays the ball into the air. It's a good ball, diagonally across the edge of the 18-yard line. Comes forward through to Lucas Hernandez. Plays the ball into the box, but Eriksson's there inside the area to clear Denmark's lines. Picked up by Varane just over the halfway line. To his left is Steven Nzonzi. Back out to the near left-hand touchline once again for Lucas Hernandez. Now Nzonzi finds Griezmann. Lemar pushing in field. Was he clipped by Brathwaite? He was, says the referee. And France now have a free kick 25 yards out, quite away to the left of centre, but it could be an opportunity for them to have a strike on target here. 0-0.
Probably a little bit too far out. I think it could be difficult to get in. Beat Kasper Schmeichel from that sort of distance on that type of angle. 2 fullbacks have disappointed me for France so far. For the amount of ball they've had, the quality delivery hasn't been good enough.
So it's going to be a left-footed delivery from Thomas Lemar for this free kick, so it doesn't look like it's going to be an attempt at goal. The 2-man Denmark walls being set up by the referee just ahead of the 18-yard line towards the left-hand corner of the penalty box. A few French players standing in offside positions with the rest of the Denmark defence holding their position on the 18-yard line. It's going to be Thomas Lemar to swing it in left-footed. Giroud and Nzonzi are obvious headed targets, tall men. Griezmann lurking in there as well. In it comes from Lemar, and it's flicked out for a corner by Kjær, who had Nzonzi in behind him and Varane coming in front of him, but he just flicks it out the outside of his right boot for a corner.
I'm not sure whether France were expecting Denmark to try and play the offside on that occasion, but no one gambled at the far post.
So corner on the right-hand side for France to be taken by Ousmane Dembele. Right-footed outswinger to come from the Barcelona man. Again, Giroud and Varane looking to make runs from the edge of the penalty area. Giroud's the target, headed clear. There's a clash of heads inside the box. I think Cher's gone down. He's only just picking himself back to his feet, and the referee's called a halt to proceedings so that Cher can potentially receive some treatment, though he's already on his haunches. It was him and Giroud that went up together there, and he went down very, very quickly. But it looks like he's going to be okay. 0-0 on TalkSport then. 27 minutes played here in the Luzhniki, and it's 1-0 to Peru in Sochi. A scoreline which will do huge favours to the Danes.
And that break in play has just given the players an opportunity to get a bit of a drink, because it's so hot here in Moscow today. Temperature at pitch side really stifling. A number of the Danish players in particular have come to the touchline just to get some water on board.
Well, Simon Cher is okay. He's not going to need any treatment, so he can stay on the field for the restart. And it will be just an opportunity for the French to punt the ball back underway on TalkSport. 28 gone, 0-0 in Luzhniki.
We've had some great games, Dance. We've had some terrific matches to commentate on. This has been probably the worst half an hour that we've had so far.
And here's Kante trying to liven things up for France. Plays the ball into the feet of Griezmann. To his left is Thomas Lemar. Leaves it for Griezmann to take it up once more. Lemar has it again. Out towards the left-hand touchline. 10 yards from the corner flag. Finds Griezmann once more. Only Giroud in the box for France. The cross was brilliant from Griezmann. And if Giroud had any positional sense, he would have found the right spot. But he was just languishing.
He is streets ahead of everybody on the pitch at the moment, Antoine Griezmann.
Meantime, Cornelius charging down the left for Denmark. Eriksson calling for it in the area. Eriksson's going to try and get onto this. Out comes Mandanda. Down goes Eriksson. No penalty, says the referee.
Well, this might be looked at as well. This may well go upstairs. Mandanda was so slow coming off his line.
Terrific ball from Cornelius across from the left-hand side, and Eriksson was going like an express train through the centre, trying to get there first. Mandanda spread himself, but no penalty given, and we play on TalkSport with Dembele finding Lemar just outside the D. Giroud tries to control it inside the box. Anywhere will do for Jens Steiger Larsen. He gets it up to the halfway line where Kante wins it back for the French. Now Sidibit looking to play a ball down the right for Dembele, who was just caught on his heels as the ball was played down there, and it's just whacked away again by Denmark. Not sure there's going to be a VAR check here. We play on, Matt Holden.
No, it's been too long, hasn't it, to go upstairs, I think. I'm surprised. I'd like to see the replay, but Mandanda didn't look to get much of the ball, and he was very slow coming off his line.
France in possession with N'Golo Kante. Gets it back from Sidibit. And France are dispossessed, and Delaney, who's had a very quiet opening half hour in the Danish midfield, finds Sisto, who wins a throw. Half an hour played. 0-0 between Denmark and France. 1-0 between Peru and Australia. The Peruvians have the lead after 18 minutes through Carrillo. That game is live over on TalkSport 2 right now. Matt Holland's seen a replay of the Eriksson-Mandanda challenge. What say you, Matt?
Well, I'm just seeing it again. No, I don't think it is a penalty. I think the combination of Hernandez and Mandanda, he did get the ball eventually, and I think that's the correct decision.
So 0-0 it stays, no penalty. Denmark in possession. Cornelius trying to flick the ball on. Griezmann tidily knocks it down to Lucas Hernandez, who can really scamper hard towards the halfway line. Lemar is outside, he's running at pace as well. At Dalsgaard, getting to the left-hand corner of the penalty area, Thomas Lemar, and he just runs out of room. Gets crowded out by red shirts, and Denmark have it back.
He's hurt himself, Thomas Lemar. Straight away he went to ground. He's in trouble.
Yep, he's stayed face down in the turf just outside the Denmark penalty area. Thumped the turf a few times with his right palm in frustration. And I don't know what it is, whether he was just caught on his boot, on his left ankle, as he was trying to clear the ball, and it was Dalsgaard that caught him. He's back on his feet. We'll see how serious that is, but he was certainly caught inadvertently by Henrik Dalsgaard. 0-0.
He's not had the best half an hour either, or Dembele on the other side. You think you get this chance, it's the third match now, you want to try and make a name for yourself, you want to try to say to Didier Deschamps that I want to be in that starting 11 for the last 16. Well, neither of them have done themselves any favours.
Whereas Griezmann here on the ball has been as lively as you'd expect from a much in demand striker who is elected to stay at Atletico Madrid, despite the overtures of other clubs in Spain. Throw in to Denmark on their left-hand side. 0-0 with 32 minutes played on TalkSport. So as it stands, France would win the group with 7 points and Denmark would go through in second place. Peru would finish third. Australia, losing to Peru at the moment, would be bottom of the four. Chier fires the ball into the French half for Brathwaite to give chase. Hernandez heads it up in the air, so too does Nzonzi. Just finds Eriksson, who tried to head it infield for Delaney, who slipped as the header was placed his way, and it allows France to win it back with Djibril Sidibé. Ousmane Dembélé takes the game down a bit slower. Now looks for Giroud, right hand side of the penalty area. Plays the ball back for Sidibé. Dembélé again driving infield this time. Thinks about a shot. Checks onto his right. Tries to drive across the face of goal and wide of the post. Schmeichel, I think, had it covered. I think that's the first effort we've seen from France that's even half trouble Kasper Schmeichel. It's taken 33 minutes and it's 0-0 on TalkSport.
It's miles wide. Kasper Schmeichel pulls his hands out the way. It's 4 or 5 yards wide of his right hand post. No real power on it, just drifting away from goal.
And so Denmark clear down the right hand side. Cornelius once again fighting for the aerial ball with Presnel Kimpembe. Eriksson goes to ground, fouled by Thomas Lemar, who seems to be okay after that tread on his ankle by Henrik Dalsgaard. So a free kick to Denmark here, right in front of the French technical area, inside the French half. Eriksson just adjusts his socks, rolls the ball into position, and it's a good 35 yards out from goal. He's played the ball in field short to Pione Sisto, who clips the ball into the area. Overhit. One bounce and it's through to Mandanda. And I think all the Denmark players in the area were completely caught on the hop by Sisto having that ball and clipping in early. Nobody made a run for him. 0-0.
No, they've been really disappointing, Denmark, so far. Not really got too many bodies into forward positions. They're just happy to sit back, allow France to have possession, and they've had lots of it, France. As long as they don't get in behind them, they're more than happy.
And the French haven't really got in behind Denmark that often either in this first 30-odd minutes.
That's what I meant. Denmark are happy as long as it's in front of them. Yeah. France are having possession. They're playing along the back, with Varane having the ball, Kimpembe out to the full-backs. As long as it's in front of them, they're happy, as long as they're not getting in behind.
Now Griezmann's made a neat run into the left channel if they want to use him, but France instead go back towards the right-hand side, and Varane seeks out Djibril Sidibé. Dembélé just ahead of him. He's just inside the Denmark half here, Sidibé. Back to the halfway line, and Raphael Varane. Dembélé, who has Striker Larsen at his back, runs away from him and back towards the centre circle. Now turns and faces the Denmark goal and clips it out to this near side for Lucas Hernandez. Can he get across it? He can. Into the near post. Chier is there first though for Denmark. It's cleared up and out, but away from Andreas Cornelius, and Mandanda can collect midway point of his own half. 0-0.
Well, I said at the start of the game that the two full-backs are going to be important because they can have lots of the ball. Again, Hernandez gets down the left-hand side. There's nobody near him. He's got 10 yards of space to deliver a ball into the box. He hits the first man.
Here he is again, Hernandez in possession for France. Plays the ball in field for Lemar. Kante now has it. Into the feet of Giroud. Can turn and run towards the penalty area. Lobs it over the top for Griezmann, who fell like an oak tree inside the penalty area. He wasn't claiming he was touched, he just couldn't turn quick enough to latch onto that ball lobbed into the box by Giroud. 0-0.
To be honest, he was just trying to back into Chier, and he wanted the ball into his feet rather than over the top.
Goal kick downfield from Kasper Schmeichel. Cornelius can't win the header, but Delaney finds Eriksson, who's had a very, very quiet start to this game for Denmark. And if he's quiet, Denmark are quiet. Thomas Lemar spins away from Delaney, his opposite number, and finds Nzonzi. Nzonzi out to the right for Djibril Sidibé. Sidibé finds Dembélé once more just in field. And everybody bar Mandanda inside the Denmark half. Good ball up to the edge of the area for Giroud. But he's got Matthijs Jorgensen right at his back, and he won the ball back strongly for Denmark, but he clips the ball up to halfway. Nobody there in a red Denmark shirt, so the French have it back again with Kimpembe. And now N'Golo Kante drops deep to pick up possession and moves over the halfway line, finds Hernandez on this near side, the left. Back in field for Kante once more. Griezmann again making a run down the inside left channel. He's going to get it, is he? Although across comes Chier, watched it all the way. And Griezmann has to make do with a throw for France down the left-hand side. 0-0.
He's the only one really that's looked to get in behind Denmark's back line.
Here is N'Golo Kante again, stroking the ball back to Raphael Varane. Makes headway into the Denmark half. Sidibe moving up on his right-hand side, midway point of that Denmark half. Now Varane wants it back, and it's with Kimpembe inside the centre circle. Hernandez again out in space on this near side. Kante might use him, but he's come back infield. Giroud made a run, not used, not happy that he wasn't used. Olivier Giroud threw his arms out in front of him in frustration. Instead it's with Griezmann on the far side of the field, the French right. Comes back his way, lovely neat ball back infield for Sidibe. But Christensen of Chelsea just whacked it out of harm's way for Denmark. But it's going to come back at them because there was nobody up on halfway in a red shirt.
No, it's frustrating for France because there's red shirts. It's just red wall basically in front of them. Trying to play through it's difficult. You're looking for a bit of quality, a bit of magic. 1-2 around the box, a runner in behind, someone to switch off. But it is frustrating. We've got that many bodies to try and play through.
Griezmann's got two to aim at on this far side. He's overhit the crossfield ball intended for Hernandez. So even Griezmann's getting sucked into the poor passing that we've seen at times from both these sides. 7 minutes to go in the first half. Denmark 0, France 0. Still Australia 0, Peru 1 in Sochi. That game live over on TalkSport 2. Australia, remember, needed to win that to create any kind of jeopardy for Denmark in this game. Denmark only need a point to qualify. If they'd lost today and Australia get a win, and it's down to goal difference, goal scored or fair play. Eriksen for Denmark, trying to loft the ball into the area for Cornelius. Eriksen gets it back, loses out to Thomas Lemar, and the France have a chance to counter here because there's red shirts committed forward, and here's Ousmane Dembélé down the French right, cuts in field, lovely ball to the edge of the area. Griezmann holds it up, thinks about a drive with his left, he actually hits it straight at Kasper Schmeichel, who didn't hold on to it straight away, but as it dropped to the ground he got both hands on it as Giroud followed up. 0-0.
Well, France did well actually to counter-attack at pace like they just did, because Denmark for once had committed a few bodies into forward positions and there's a bit of space to try and exploit, and they got forward pretty quickly. Once it fell to Griezmann, I think the ball really was Giroud who pulled to the far post, but he decided to go for goal himself. It was a difficult effort.
Volley cleared by Lucas Hernandez in the left-back position for France. Eriksen finds Cornelius. Good header down to the right wing for Martin Braithwaite. Started the last season at Middlesbrough, ended up at Bordeaux. Good ball from Delaney down the right-hand side of the area. Cornelius in space. Measures the ball back to Eriksen at the edge of the box. Right-hand corner of the penalty area. Eriksen couldn't get a cross or a shot away. Has to go back to Christensen. Back out to the right and Dalsgaard. Dalsgaard plays the ball back into the feet of Eriksen. Now it's back to the halfway line and Cher. Jorgensen. First time we've seen everybody bar Kasper Schmeichel inside the French half of the field. Long ball down the field, intended for Braithwaite, overhit. One bounce and through to Mandanda. Still 0-0 with 5 minutes to go in the first half on TalkSport World Cup Live.
And there's been a distinct lack of quality, particularly from Denmark.
But it's Dembélé in behind striker Larsen on the right-hand side for France. Into the area, clips the ball to the far post, headed away by Dalsgaard with Giroud lurking behind him. And Sisto can try and complete the clearance for Denmark. He's clipped by Steven Nzonzi. That'll be a free kick to Denmark, and the danger passes. 0-0.
It's a result that suits both of these sides. 0-0. Denmark have clearly come for a draw. I think France have shown a little bit more urgency, and in Griezmann they've had the best player on the pitch in this first half. But I think that the two wide players, Lemar and Dembélé, haven't contributed enough. They haven't tried to find Giroud quickly enough, and there's not been enough quality from the fullback positions either, so when they've got themselves into forward positions they've lacked a bit of quality themselves.
Ball fired downfield by Kasper Schmeichel, but a wasteful free kick, too low, too flat, too strong, and straight through to Mandanda. Of course the qualifiers from this Group C will take on the two qualifiers from Group D, which completes tonight across our network, TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Argentina, Nigeria on TalkSport, and Croatia, who are already through against Iceland. So if things stay as they are and Croatia do what we might expect them to do, Denmark's next opponents will be Croatia. And as for France, well, you take your pick. Argentina, Nigeria, I don't want to call that game at all. That could be any score you like tonight, based on the fact that Nigeria beat Argentina 4-2 in Krasnodar in a friendly last November. All these rumours about Argentina players picking the team or taking training themselves ahead of St. Pauli. See how that plays out tonight on TalkSport. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff, of course, back at home.
Well, this is Denmark's strongest team today, and on this evidence, Croatia will beat them pretty comfortably. We were so impressed with them, weren't we, when we saw them against Argentina.
Here is Steven Nzonzi for France, 0-0 with 3 minutes to go in the first half. Hernandez making another good run down the left for France. Griezmann, left-hand corner of the penalty area, has to give the ball back to Thomas Lemar. Lemar looks up, wants somebody to play it to in the penalty area. Not much movement ahead of him. 0-2 for Steven Nzonzi, who's in possession now. And Nzonzi rolls his foot over the ball and gives the ball out to this near side and Lucas Hernandez. Back for Kimpembe on the halfway line. Picked up by Varane. Sidibe picks it up now on the right hand side for the French. And Kante back for Varane, and it's tight and compact here at the Luzhniki.
I mean, for all his critics, Paul Pogba was playing in this type of fixture where everyone's behind the ball. At least he tries passes, at least he tries to be positive and try and find the front end.
Another run from Griezmann into the area as Lemar finds him. He's onside, he knocks it back for Giroud! Oh, he lofted it way over the bar. Well, the flag actually has finally gone up for offside, has it? Against Griezmann. Took him about 10 seconds, the assistant on that far side, to put up the offside flag. Well, but nobody's to know that, and Griezmann found Giroud, rolled the ball back to him, but he skied his right-footed effort horribly over the bar. 0-0.
You do wonder if he's had a whisper in his ear. Someone has seen that incident and said to him, actually, that was offside, and then that's when he's decided to put his flag up. Either way, I mean, once it fell to Giroud, he should have hit the target at the very least, because he was only about 12 yards from goal.
But it stays 0-0 on TalkSport, and it stays 1-0 to Peru over on TalkSport 2 as they lead Australia through that Carrillo strike in the first half. Schmeichel hits a goal kick downfield, finds a teammate this time in Cornelius. Eriksson heads it on, but under pressure from Kante, there's no one there with him. And Eriksson has been nowhere near as influential as he would like in this first half.
I know a lot of people have been advocating changes for England ahead of their game against Belgium. I think this is a reason why perhaps you wouldn't want to make too many changes. It's been a bit disjointed from France as well. They've made 6 changes. They haven't looked particularly fluent at all.
Well, it's the old adage about players that come in, don't tell me, show me. Those players have been telling Didier Deschamps they're worthy of an opportunity. They've been given that today. Not everyone's shown it. Griezmann's the only one for me who's looked particularly lively. He's in possession now for France. Plays the ball out to the right wing. Sidibe and Dembele get involved. Now Dembele tries an ambitious drive from 35 yards out. You can hear the ironic cheers of the Denmark fans away to our left as he sails way over the crossbar. And it's going to be a goal kick to Denmark as we go into stoppage time at the end of this first half, and there'll be 2 minimum added minutes here in Moscow.
Just going back to the point about Paul Pogba, I mean, just watching Nzonzi and N'Golo Kante, their attributes aren't that ball forward, really. It's about dogging around, winning possession back, giving it to a teammate. And Paul Pogba's got that ability to find a pass. Both of those two are a bit sideways, a bit backwards, a bit safe, if you like. A bit like me, if you like.
I'll say nothing. Ousmane Dembele in possession for France. Infield for N'Golo Kante. Kante has to play it out to the left and actually played it behind Lucas Hernandez, but the Atletico Madrid left back did well to retain possession. Lemar calling for it down the left hand side. He's got it, level with the edge of the area, checks back onto his right foot, does he, to measure a crossing. Actually just flicks the ball to Griezmann at the left hand corner of the box. He tried to turn it into the area for Giroud, who was caught on his heels a little, and that will allow Kasper Schmeichel to pick the ball up under no pressure and clear his lines. 0-0, 1 minute of stoppage time gone.
It's been a frustrating afternoon for Olivier Giroud. France have struggled to get the ball up to him in good areas.
Another long clearance downfield from Schmeichel. Cornelius got involved and found Eriksson, who drove it against Nzonzi. Will that deflect out for a corner? It will. So Denmark have a chance at the end of this first half to create a bit of havoc with a set piece. A corner to our right hand side, 0-0.
Well, Christian Eriksen always happy to try his luck from distance. France were able to block it, but he's got quality delivery as well, and he's on the corner now.
So Eriksson again with a right-footed out-swinging corner for the Danes. Their third of this half as it draws to a close on TalkSport. In it comes from Eriksson. Up go the heads, it's half cleared by Nzonzi. Griezmann breaks away out the area with the ball, and suddenly he's at full pelt going over the halfway line. He's away from Jorgensen. He's got Dembele to his right. Jorgensen brings him down with a professional challenge. Easiest yellow card the referee will ever have to give for a cynical challenge from the Huddersfield Town defender on Antoine Griezmann.
It's a disgraceful challenge from Jorgensen. Absolutely disgraceful. And nowhere near the ball, right down the back of Antoine Griezmann. I'd say that was brilliant from Griezmann, wasn't it? The pace that he showed from the edge of his own box right up to the edge of Denmark's box.
Well, that's the first half summed up in 10 seconds for me. Griezmann showing pace and guile and ability, but the physicality of the Danes getting in his way. It's half-time in Sochi. Peru lead by 1-0 against Australia, and it's half-time here in Luzhniki too. France do not have time to take the free kick for that horrible challenge by Jorgensen on Griezmann, and Griezmann, hands on hips, is just staring at the referee as everybody else walks off the field. Griezmann giving the 1,000-yard stare to the Brazilian ref, but that won't change his mind. Can we change your mind that this game's not going to finish goalless? We'll have to see. Very few chances worthy of the name in this first 45 minutes at the Luzhniki Stadium. Half-time scoreline then. Denmark 0, France 0. Adrian Durham. Let's hope the police don't turn up to join the dog in the second half. Danish players are out. No sign of the French players are. They just emerged from the tunnel as I speak. These two teams have met twice before at World Cups, both in the third group stage game. I mentioned that win that the French got by 2-1 in '98 when they went on to win the tournament. They then met in Incheon in the Japan-South Korea World Cup in 2002, and Denmark won that by 2-0, and that was the last time that Denmark beat France in any match, friendly or otherwise. And it hasn't looked likely in the first half, and as Adrian Durham's rightly mentioned, only Griezmann out there of the 20 outfield players has looked likeliest to cause a problem for opposition defences. French lineup is Mandanda in goal. They made 6 changes today, remember, the French. They're already through. Sidibé, Varane, Kimpembe and Hernandez across the back. Kante and Nzonzi in defensive midfield. Then Dembele, Griezmann and Lamar in behind Giroud. We're back underway here, incidentally, at the Luzhniki Stadium. Denmark, Schmeichel in goal. Dalsgaard, Kjær, Christensen and Larsen. Jorgensen actually playing in centre-half rather than Christensen. He's partnering Delaney in central midfield, with Sisto and Brathwaite either side of Christian Eriksen and Andreas Cornelius up top. Denmark in their red shirts, white shorts and red socks, and now attacking the end away to our left where the Danish support is housed. And France in their change strip of the white shirts with the dark blue shorts and white socks, attacking their supporters who are away to the right hand side, enjoying some late afternoon sunshine on a broiling hot day here in the Russian capital.
It's going to be interesting for me in the second half to see how much France want to go on and win this game, or whether they're happy with a draw as well. Obviously the draw means that they top the group, and that means that the likelihood is they avoid Croatia in the last 16, so that might be in their thinking, but you know, they're already through. Why not have a go and try and win this game?
Still waiting for them to get underway in Sochi between Australia and Peru. Peru leading by 1-0 at half-time. That game is live over on TalkSport 2 with Alan Parry and Clive Allen. Here at the Luzhniki, France in possession, and it's N'Golo Kante who sends the ball out wide right to Djibril Sidibé. Back for Kante once more. Quickly fires the ball across to Paris Saint-Germain's Presnel Kimpembe. Now Nzonzi picks the ball up. Out to the left-hand side, and Lucas Hernandez, who was probably second to Griezmann in terms of industry in the French side in that first half. Saw a lot of the ball on that near side, the French left. Denmark can't clear their lines. Dembele turns away from Delaney and moves in field. He plays the ball out to that far left-hand side, looking for Thomas Lemar. Chests it down neatly for Hernandez, who gives it back to Lemar, hugging the left-hand touchline. Now cuts in field and flicks the ball back out to the left-hand touchline for Hernandez. Good ball in field for N'Golo Kante. Looks to clip the ball into the box, trying to find Lemar. Half cleared by Denmark, but back it goes to Griezmann out in the left wing position. Good ball into the box. Dembele tries to get a header in, but the whistle had already gone for a foul by Giroud on Jorgensen, and Denmark have a free kick. 0-0. We played 2.5 minutes in the second half.
Well, it's one of the first times actually that we've seen N'Golo Kante get forward and also have a bit of space in midfield, because it's been so tight in there, with Delaney being pretty close to him, also Christensen just in front of that back four. but he was able to get within 30 yards of the Danish goal unopposed.
And the Brazilian referee Sandro Ricci just having a quiet word with Olivier Giroud, who protested the award of that free kick against him, which Schmeichel is now preparing to take for Denmark. Thumps it right down the centre of the field. It's over the head of Cornelius, and Varane can head the ball comfortably back towards the halfway line, where it's picked up by Ousmane Dembele. He can now charge over the halfway line, finds Griezmann. Heavy first touch from Griezmann allows Denmark to win it back, and now Braithwaite on the halfway line steps inside Hernandez, who brings him down. Free kick to the Danes just inside French territory.
Well, we haven't seen Griezmann have a heavy first touch in that first half, not too many times anyway. The ball wasn't a great one into him from Dembele. He was only about 10 yards from him and absolutely smashed it at him.
Matt Holland alongside me in the commentary box here at the Luzhniki. 0-0. We haven't seen one yet in the World Cup. Here is Griezmann trying to do something about that. Midway point of the Denmark half. Thought he won the throw. I thought he won the throw coming off Thomas Delaney last of all. It's another long stare from Griezmann, like he threw the referee's way at the end of the first half. Throw into Denmark, to be taken by Jens Stryger Larsen, who plays his club football for Udinese in Italy. His throw is won back by the French though. Griezmann tries to win the ball off Thomas Delaney from a 50-50. Headed up in the air by Cornelius inside his own half, tries to bring the ball down on his chest, but he was clambering all over N'Golo Kante to do so. Free kick to France.
I think they're in different weight brackets, aren't they? If they were boxers, N'Golo Kante against Cornelius.
I'd certainly give N'Golo Kante the nod in terms of stamina. Well, we're going to see a change here, and here's a guy who's had a horrific domestic season. So pleased to see him back. Benjamin Mendy of Manchester City, 7 months out with an ACL. We were up there for TalkSport 2 when he did it in a Premier League match for Manchester City, and that's when Fabian Delph suddenly became all important to Pep Guardiola. But Hernandez has been replaced. It's a straight swap, and Benjamin Mendy comes on for France in the left back position before this free kick's taken.
I'm fairly certain that that's an injury, because you said, didn't you, that he's shown a lot of industry, and he'd got himself in some really good positions. His quality of delivery hadn't been good enough, but I think that must be an injury, especially so early into the second half as well. There must have been something that he got at half time. They said, well, give it 5 minutes, see what it's like, and he hasn't been able to recover.
He looked to be holding the very top of his right hamstring as he walked off and spoke to Deschamps. Anyway, Hernandez off, Mendy on. Into Griezmann it goes, 25 yards out, plays the ball into the area, just behind Dembele, and Sisto just thumps it anywhere. But it's gone beyond Cornelius up to the halfway line, where Kimpembe can win it back for France and find Varane. Out to this near side and Sidibé. Good ball in field for Griezmann. Tries to drive it, deflects into Kasper Schmeichel at his near post off Jorgensen, but he dealt with it comfortably enough for the Danish goalkeeper. 0-0.
Yeah, again though, getting on that half turn within 25 yards of goal, looking to get his shot away.
Even better news for Denmark. Peru have doubled their lead in Sochi against Australia. Live on TalkSport 2, Guerrero with the second for the Peruvians. And to be fair, it would have been rough justice on Peru to come away from a World Cup where they've been so entertaining with no points after their first two games. To come up with no points after three would have been really unfair. So they are 2 goals to the good in heading for 3 points and sending Australia bottom of Group C, and doing Denmark a huge favour.
Well, that means they can even be actually a bit more adventurous now, Denmark, because as it stands, they're going to go through anyway. Might as well have a bit more of a go.
Well, Arga Harada pronounced this French team as nothing special, the Denmark manager. What have you got? Here's Thomas Lemar for France. Mendy gets his first touch now on the left-hand side. Level with the edge of the area. Plays the ball along the floor into the area. Griezmann with his back to goal. Trying to find a teammate. Looked to try and find Thomas Lemar. Couldn't quite get him. And Denmark have it back with Braithwaite. Up towards Cornelius, just shy of the halfway line. He's fouled by Kimpembe and has gone over the touchline and stayed on the ground. And will slowly and very carefully pick himself back up to his feet. So 52 minutes gone here in Moscow at the Luzhniki. 0-0 between Denmark and France. Peru then make it 99 goals for the World Cup, with that second that they've scored against Australia.
Let's be positive. Let's say that the 100's going to come in our game, Dan.
I like your positivity, Matt Holland. You're not normally like that. Back it goes to Kasper Schmeichel in the Denmark goal. He fires the ball right-footed, again looking for Cornelius. Better kick this time, but Cornelius was clashing with Varane, and the push came actually from Varane on Cornelius, and Denmark have a free kick right in the middle of the French half here, 0-0.
Yeah, good spot by the referee. Varane threw himself to ground, but the foul from him was the first one. A little push on the back of Cornelius.
You can see a replay, and there was a nudge which didn't allow Cornelius to get airborne, and so it'll be a free kick to Denmark. And of course Eriksson stands over this to try and chip it into the area and find a teammate. It's very central though, it's hard to know whether he's going to go right or left with this.
He can't go for goal surely, he's 40 yards out.
Well, maybe he might want to test Mandanda, playing in his first ever finals tournament match for France. He stands a couple of yards off his line in case Eriksson wants to have a crack at goal. There's a three-man French wall about 5 yards ahead of the edge of the D. Upsets Eriksson, does go for goal, hits Mandanda in the chest and he spilt it, but he dropped on the ball just in time before Cornelius charged in to put it into an empty net. Stays 0-0.
Well, we thought there might be a mistake in Mandanda and he nearly made one. It was a decent effort from Eriksson, but it was right at him, bounced just in front of him, that made it more difficult. It bounced off his chest, back off him into the 6-yard box, but he was able to claim it at the second attempt.
Mandanda looks for Giroud, but Jorgensen manhandles him out of the way and heads the ball clear for Denmark. 54 minutes gone in the Luzhniki on Talk Sport. It's Denmark 0, France 0 in Group C. Varane now for France, plays the ball across to N'Golo Kante, ever willing to pick the ball up deep and start play off for France. Mendy and Lamar down the left-hand side, plays the ball into the feet of Giroud, lets it run past him. Lamar picks it up now, 25 yards out, drives it against Delaney, picked up by Pione Sisto, who jinks away from a couple of challenges, including Dembele, and finds Dalsgaard, who gives the ball away needlessly, trying to fire it for Eriksson down the right-hand side, but easily won back by Mendy for France, who now have it on the near side to us, the right, with Djibril Sidibé. Infield for Thomas Lemar. All red shirts back in defensive positions. Kimpembe once more has a possession. Mendy calling for it out on the far side of the field. Might try and swing across it. Instead, looks for Dembele, who's swapped wings with Lemar temporarily. Dembele now on the left-hand side of the three behind Giroud, but he's dispossessed by Eriksson, and Dalsgaard clears once again for Denmark. Once again he can't find Cornelius, who bumped into Kimpembe, went down holding his face. The referee says it's accidental and it will be a delay whilst he gets treated, but it's no free kick for Denmark. 55 gone, 10 gone in the second half, and still we await the deadlock to be broken on Talk Sport.
Yeah, and I wonder when the next substitutions are coming. We've obviously seen Mendy come on for Lucas Hernandez. I think that's down to an injury, but Ousmane Dembele will be fortunate to stay on the pitch. I think it's been really disappointing. Big money move, and it's just failed to get going today.
So Cornelius getting some treatment from the physios with a whack in the face. Tim Cahill is on as a sub to try and rescue Australia in Sochi. It's his first appearance, I think, for this tournament.
38 years old, he played 63 minutes for Millwall this season. On you go, son, go and get us a hat-trick.
I'd say you wouldn't bet against it, but at this point, with what, nearly 55 minutes gone in Sochi, it's what our old friend Andy Townsend would call a tough ask. Cornelius back on his feet, and we'll just go off the field temporarily on the far side of the field from us, and it's going to be a free kick for France, but they're just going to give it back to Denmark inside their own half. Iran will just lob it downfield. Oh no, they take it back themselves.
No, they had the ball, didn't
That's
they,
right, you're right, they did have the ball, the French, and so Nzonzi can now face up Delaney and give the ball back to Varane. The French try again to build down the left-hand side with Kante. Mendy, back to N'Golo Kante. He's got Nzonzi just to his right, but instead he goes back for Kimpembe. It's a diagonal ball looking for Dembele on this near side, but that's a good defensive header by Stryger Larsen to nod it back to Kasper Schmeichel. 57 gone on Talk Sport, 0-0 between Denmark and France. Schmeichel looks to clear from hands at the edge of his area, then just rolls it out in front of him because there's no French player coming to close him down. Griezmann offers a slight threat, but not much, as it goes downfield looking for Cornelius, who's back on the field. Nodded back very comfortably by Benjamin Mendy to Mandanda.
It was a bit of a fight in the TalkSport contingent over the tickets for this game. Who might get them? I think those that missed out will be quite happy at this point.
Still time for the touch paper to be lit, Matt Holland. Flicked on by Giroud, looking for Griezmann, but it's gone to the left of Antoine Griezmann and won back by Denmark, but given away straight away. And Nzonzi flicks the ball out to the right under pressure and finds Sidibit, but he passes the ball straight to the path of Thomas Delaney. Sweeps it back to his keeper, Mandanda, who under pressure has to come outside of his penalty area to clear, and Denmark win it back. Little back heel from Striker Larsen sets Sisto away. Down the Denmark left. Flips the ball into the area. Good ball as well, headed up and out by Kimpembe. Poor defensive clearance. He'll drop for Eriksson at the edge of the box, and he drives it wide. Cornelius standing in an offside position right in front of Mandanda. If that had been goal bad, I don't know whether Cornelius would have been adjudged to be offside and interfering with play. But that was a half chance for Eriksson inside the D, but he put it well wide, 0-0.
It's the best we've seen of them in the entire game, and it's taken virtually an hour. Eriksson will be really upset with himself that he hasn't hit the target.
Well, you mentioned it before kick-off about his goal-scoring record, Eriksson. 17 goals in his last 20 caps, and he's been directly involved in 18 in his last 15 if you include assists. But he couldn't hit the target there for Denmark. It stays 0-0 on TalkSport. Now Mendy, thanks to hash of a ball played out to the far touchline from Lamar, and there's going to be a change for Denmark, and Victor Fischer is going to get an opportunity here to replace Pione Sisto. Fischer, who plays on the left hand side, so it's going to be a life-for-life swatch. Plays for Copenhagen at the moment, joined them in January. Was at Middlesbrough, you might remember, back in 2016-17. He comes on to rapturous applause from the Denmark supporters away to our left-hand side. He's clearly a favourite of theirs, Victor Fischer, and he's on for Sisto. Yeah,
Sisto's done very little, to be honest, so no surprise that he's been taken off. You just wonder if actually Denmark might be a bit more adventurous now, because if they go on and win this game, top the group, they can avoid Croatia. And with Peru doing the job for them, beating Australia 2-0, it gives them the chance to be a bit more adventurous in this last half an hour.
Also serves me right for bigging up Pione Sisto before the game. Ball's out of play on the far side of the field for a Denmark throw. An hour gone then on TalkSport here at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, and we'll be in Moscow tomorrow, Matt and I, for Serbia against Brazil, which will be a 7 o'clock kickoff UK time as Group F concludes, and Switzerland involved in that as well. That's a very tight group, that. Switzerland taking on Costa Rica, and of course Messrs Xhaka and Shaqiri are both able to play after their goal celebrations were not deemed to be worthy of a ban by FIFA. Denmark have a throw meantime inside the French half, right hand side, to be taken by Henrik Dalsgaard. Looking for Cornelius at the right-hand corner of the penalty area. It goes over his head. Kimpembe volleys clear for France. Up to halfway, Giroud gives chase, but Jorgensen will get there first. Defensive header almost allowed Kante to nip in front of Delaney, but he just caught Delaney on the halfway line, and Denmark have another free kick. It's going to be taken by Andreas Christensen. Cornelius going through the centre, Victor Fischer and Martin Brathwaite spreading very wide on the far side of the field, and they were always going to play it short there. There was no obvious aerial target for Christensen. Back it goes to Kasper Schmeichel. Simon Kjær for Denmark hits the ball down the right hand side. Delaney's made a good run here and picks it up 10 yards from the corner flag, hugging the touchline, looking to get away from his defender. And he's done well against Kimpembe, and what a corner for Denmark away to our left, 0-0.
Of the two in central midfield, he is the one that's tried to get forward on occasion. Thomas Delaney made a decent run there down the right hand side.
So the corner, which Eriksson of course will take. Again, it's a right-footed outswinger to come from the Denmark number 10. Fischer's up there in the box, the recently introduced substitute. Christensen of course, along with Jorgensen and Kjær up from the back. We've also got Brathwaite lurking at the edge of the D in case any bits and pieces come his way from this corner kick. Cornelius standing in the 6-yard box. Eriksson raises his right arm, delivers the corner. Up comes Mandanda, punches clear, drops at the edge of the box. It's fired back in by Fischer. It's his own man inside the box, and Griezmann casually just lifts it out to the left-hand side for Dembele to try and stretch his legs for France. He's got Mendy on the overlap, but Dembele's cut in field. Now tries to play it out to Mendy, but that's picked off by Dalsgaard, who equally hits a wasteful ball picked up by Nzonzi on the halfway line when he was trying to find Cornelius.
Well, if I'm Didier Deschamps now, I'm taking Dembele off. You'd have to. Lamar also on the other flank has done very little as well, so Mbappe, Fekir.
And as you speak, Lamar just plays a horror pass intended for Mendy, but just lobs out of play, good 10 yards behind where Mendy was standing. Into the whistles from the Tricolor fans away to our right. Wonder whether that will make Deschamps' mind up for him. He's not at the edge of his technical area. Arga Haraider is, hands in pockets, pacing somewhat nervously around. But he shouldn't be too nervous because Peru are 2-0 up against Australia in Sochi, and Denmark are going through. Even if they lose here, Australia aren't doing enough to give Denmark a problem. So as Matt Holland's been saying alongside me in commentary, why not be a little bit more adventurous? Maybe that's why Fischer's out there on the field, to add a little bit of extra guile on that left-hand side for Denmark. But it's 0-0 with 63 gone.
They've just had their best 10 minutes, to be honest. Ericsson had that chance, shot wide. They've started to get further forward. Delaney's made a couple of runs. They've just had their best 10 minutes.
Mendy fires the ball back to Kimpembe on the halfway line. Varane finds Sidibe on this near side on the halfway line, gets it back from Kante, now to the feet of Giroud. Few whistles going around to Luznicki, wanting a bit more endeavour from the French. Sidibe in possession once more, gives it away. Striker Larsson brings it clear for Denmark, finds Ericsson inside his own half, under pressure from Nzonzi, has to go backwards a square to Chair. Now Jorgensen goes out left to Thomas Delaney, who fires the ball in the inside left channel, looking for Victor Fischer, who's clattered into there, I thought, by Varane. Has that begun as a free kick or as a throw by our Brazilian official?
I think it's a throw. Varane just gets over the top of his man. It's a good header.
Proper caught there was Striker Larsson. 0-0 here, 2-0 in Sochi to Peru. A few players from the Denmark side, and indeed Olivier Giroud, taking the opportunity to take on a bit of water from the touchline. Still no sign of Deschamps to bark out instructions. He's sat comfortably in his dugout with his assistants around him. And Larsson will take this free kick, this throw-in rather, for Denmark, almost level with the edge of the French penalty area, left-hand side. 20 gone in the second half. Cornelius trying to hold the ball up and drive for the corner flag. Whips the ball into the near post away from Brathwaite. Might drop at the edge of the box for Dalsgaard. Delaney hits it against Mendy and wins a throw for Denmark on the other side of the field. 0-0 with 65 gone.
All of a sudden though, Denmark are pushing further forward, starting to ask more questions of that French back line.
And it's Dalsgaard who'll have the throw, level with the edge of the penalty area, right hand side. Delaney's come short, just outside the box, gives it back to Dalsgaard. Up against Mendy, drives infield to the left hand corner of the box, fires it in along the deck to the near post, but Kimpembe got it clear. Giroud fighting hard to win the ball inside his own half. He just limps off the field as he was caught by Chair, who won the ball, and Giroud will hobble back on. Now the game's completely gone to a standstill as Delaney and Chair eventually work the ball back to Kasper Schmeichel. Schmeichel booms the clearance out to this near side, looking for Victor Fischer to try and win the header, but Sidibe gets it up to halfway. It's picked up by Christensen, back for Larsson, and now Jorgensen finds Chair. Thought about hitting a diagonal ball downfield, but instead plays the ball into the centre circle for Andreas Christensen. Out to the right hand side, and Brentford's Henrik Dalsgaard. He's looking for the run of Ericsson in the inside right channel, but it's overhit. One bouncing through to Mandanda. Stays 0-0 on TalkSport.
Surely both managers were looking to make more changes. It's been a really hot afternoon in Moscow. They have to do something. I mean, I'd quite like to see Pogba. I don't think he'll bring him on though, because he's on a yellow card, and why would you risk him? I think the more likely subs are Fekir and Mbappe.
Well, Fekir is the man. You called it right, Matt Holland. Fekir is stripped and ready down beneath us. Meantime, Mendy charging down the left-hand side for France, gets to the byline, plays the ball in over the head of Dembele, beyond the far post, and there's a free kick given for a foul on Delaney by Griezmann inside the box, and that will allow the change to be made for France. So Nabil Fekir of Lyon, of course linked with Liverpool heavily, but looks like he's staying, and he's going to be coming on, and the player coming off. Yeah, they've got the wrong number. They put up number 10, which is Kylian Mbappe. It's actually Griezmann that's being withdrawn to allow Fekir to come on. So the best player in the French shirt is being taken off. Yeah, what the French fans think about that.
Well, that's clearly with an eye on the last 16. Just make sure he isn't injured. Just make sure he's fit and ready to go.
Yeah.
When they take on whoever they do. So that's the reason why.
So yes, Fekir is on, wearing number 18 for the French, and we're back underway with Kasper Schmeichel taking a free kick inside his own penalty box. Midway through the second half on TalkSport. Denmark 0, France 0 in Group C, whilst in Sochi it's still Australia 0, Peru 2. Scoreline that means Peru will finish third, Australia fourth, and that Denmark have safe passage through to the round of 16, where they could face Croatia if we, as expect, they win Group D, or if there's a completely mad night in Group D, they could end up facing Nigeria. Even possibly Argentina could win the group, couldn't they? There's some strange situation where they could come. No, they can't win it. It's either Croatia or Nigeria, isn't it? You can hear that pans out across our network tonight. Nigeria, Argentina on TalkSport. Croatia against Iceland on TalkSport 2, where right now you can hear commentary of that Australia-Peru match. Here is Sidibe pushing infield for France, has to work the ball back to the centre circle for Kimpembe. And Nzonzi swiftly out to the left-hand side, and Thomas Lemar. Mendy on the overlap. Fekir picks it up. His first touch, drives it in goal and into the side netting. Suddenly, with 69 minutes gone, somebody shows a bit of spirit and a bit of willing to crack one at goal. It was Nabil Fekir. Schmeichel at full stretch at his near post, but into the side netting, 0-0.
Well, it's a little bit further away than perhaps we all thought, because it hit the side netting, but he made a really good run across the 18-yard box to get himself into the space. He got on the half turn, and his first thought was just get his shot away. I mean, it was bending back towards goal, but it was still a couple of yards wide.
Nabil Fekir was in Algeria squads in his youth, but withdrew from those squads because he felt he was having a better chance of being a French international. Made his debut 3 years ago against Brazil for France. Lyon captain last year as well. He's growing in confidence with every season that goes by. And Nzonzi fouled by Delaney inside the French half. Delaney's come off worse from that aerial challenge in actual fact, even though the free kick went against him. And with 20 minutes to go on TalkSport, we still await the first goal. And it's clear from looking around here that both sets of fans have been giving their players the bird for the lack of goalmouth activity in this game.
Well, there's a fair few Danish fans, there's a fair few French, but there's a lot of neutrals here as well, and they've come to be entertained. We haven't seen any entertainment at all.
Cornelius out to Fischer on the near side for Denmark. Wins the throw, level with the edge of the French penalty area. Eriksson comes short. In fact, Eriksson's going to take the throw, is he? No, Victor Fischer's going to leave it for Jens Stryger Larsen to take it, but no great hurry. But Larsen will eventually have the ball in his hands, and Fischer makes a run into the area. Might come outside the area to receive it now, or it could be a long throw from Jens Stryger Larsen. Eventually Fischer gives it back to him, rolls his foot on the ball. Eriksson now tries to turn away from trouble, runs straight into Fekir, but Fekir loses out to Eriksson. Edge of the area, trying to backheel it to find a teammate. Lovely backheel, almost came off for Denmark. Lovely dummy, finds Delaney left-hand side for Denmark. Goes to ground under pressure from Nzonzi and Sidibe, and then he just kicks it out of play. And France will have a throw in their own defensive third, right by the corner flag. 0-0 on TalkSport. We've got 18 minutes of normal time to go. 18 minutes for somebody to give us a goal.
Please give us a goal. We've had a brilliant World Cup so far, without a goalless draw. We're looking like we're going to get one here, though.
In possession is N'Golo Kante on the halfway line. Squares it right for Djibril Sidibe. Back for N'Golo Kante once more. Again, not much movement ahead of him for France. And Zonzi is dispossessed. Now Eriksson can bring the ball away, looking for Cornelius, but couldn't find his striker. And it's won back by Varane for France. And you can hear the increasing frustration from those. The Luzhnikis pretty much. I can't see any spare seats around this stadium. It's, what, 80,000 in here?
78,011.
Barely a spare seat to be had, and they need some entertainment. Can Thomas Lemar provide it now for France? Back for N'Golo Kante, shields the ball away from Cornelius and feeds the ball to this near side in Djibril Sidibe. Midway point of the Denmark half. Dembele now has it. Level with the edge of the area, checks back onto his left foot, comes in field, plays the ball to the far post looking for Fekir, but that's a comfortable header clear for Dalsgaard, but it is out of play for a French throw, 0-0. Quickly taken throw by Mendy for Nzonzi. Lemar finds Fekir, left hand side, almost level with the edge of the Danish penalty box. Lemar now looks for Mendy in a similar position. Thought about hitting a crossing, now does hit the crossing. Giroud with a header, and it goes well wide. It skims off the top of his forehead, and Schmeichel knew that was going a good 10-11 yards wide of his near post. 0-0 goal kick.
They struggled to get Giroud into the game in the first half. He's seen even less of it, I think, in the second. That's his first sight. Oh no, he did have one chance that Kasper Schmeichel saved in the first bit. That's his first in the second half. Last his header well wide.
So Kasper Schmeichel places the ball down for the goal kick. The attendance is confirmed on the big screens, and that's got more of a cheer than pretty much anything else we've seen in the 74 minutes that have elapsed on TalkSport. Denmark 0, France 0. Still Australia 0, Peru 2 down in Sochi. And there's going to be a change for Denmark, and Kasper Dolberg of Ajax, touted as one of the great young things of Danish football, but has had a difficult time of late at Ajax. Only 9 goals this season after a breakthrough season in the last year when of course Ajax reached the Europa League final, and it's a straight swap as he comes on for Andreas Cornelius.
A totally different player. It's Cornelius. Maybe they feel as though they're starting to have more possession. The player up top was livelier, trying to get the ball into his feet.
Well, that's got a cheer from the Denmark fans, another one they appreciate, certainly. He was hot property a year ago, got 23 goals in his first season in 47 appearances. But as I say, not quite the same in his second campaign. He might get a touch here early on as Fischer has possession for Denmark. 25 yards out. Gives the ball back to Christian Eriksen, whose influence has not been brought to bear as much as he would like in this game. 15 minutes to play on TalkSport, still 0-0. Back to Kasper Schmeichel it goes. Takes a touch with Fekir the closest to him, closing him down. Christensen rolls the ball out to Simon Kjær inside his own half. It's a long diagonal ball downfield looking for Delaney. Tries to get it behind Kimpembe. Drops for Eriksson at the edge of the area. Running out of ground as he chops it towards the left-hand side of the box. Mandanda comes across and clears it. And now Dembele tries to set the counter-attack for France. Lemar now getting a bit of pace on. Plays the ball down the left-hand side of the area for Nabil Fekir, but Dalsgaard watched him well. Protecting the ball by the corner flag and hooks it clear. It's good defending by the Brentford man. And it stayed in play, and Kasper Dolberg can get his first touch and bring it into the French half. Plays it back for Brathwaite. Eriksson the furthest player forward in the central position. Fischer rolls it back to the halfway line where Christensen and Delaney exchange passes. Fischer gives it back to Delaney once more. Kante comes to close him down. Back it goes to Jorgensen. Matt Holland shakes his head to my left.
Well, just no urgency about any of the players at all. In Denmark, we've got the ball, they've got a chance to counter-attack, and we've got 6 men in their own half.
And the whistles go up again around the Luzhniki Stadium for that lack of urgency. But now Denmark attacking down the left-hand side of the area. Brathwaite cuts in field, plays a back heel intended for Larsen, who has to check back to receive it, and in doing so gave the ball away. That's good work from Brathwaite to win it back for Denmark. It's in the centre circle with Christensen. Now the Danish fans just going to cheer every completed pass. Kjær has it. Finds Delaney inside the centre circle, inside the French half. Goes out right to Dalsgaard. And now back into his own half for Kjær. There's again no desire to really test that French back line at the moment. Jorgensen finds Steiger Larsen, and then Dolberg with a terrible intended flick out for Fischer that went out of play for a French throw.
Well, it's a game that spent the majority of the time in the middle third of this pitch. They are going to make another change though, France, and then Belle's coming off and Kylian Mbappe is going to be his replacement. I've been calling for that for the last 20 minutes.
Yes indeed, Kylian Mbappe, youngest ever French scorer at a major last time out, 19 years and 183 days when he netted, and he's been involved in 8 goals in his last 9 internationals, 4 goals and 4 assists. What can he do in this last 12 minutes on Talk Sport to change things around? Dembele off and Mbappe on for France, and here's Thomas Lemar looking for N'Golo Kante. Mbappe gets his first touch on the right-hand side of the 3 in behind Giroud. He finds Djibril Sidibé, plays it in field for N'Golo Kante, up to the edge of the area, finds Giroud with his back to goal, nodded back to him by Sidibé, still with his back to goal. Giroud on the turn, tried an ambitious volley as the ball dropped out the sky, and Adrian Durham away to our left just puts his head in his hands at that effort from Arsenal's Olivier Giroud. Goal kick, Denmark, 0-0.
Well, if there's a shot that summed up the game, that was it from Olivier Giroud. On the turn, tries a volley, it goes 40 yards over the top, just about sums this game up.
Matt Holland with me in the commentary box here in the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. We'll be up the road in Spartak tomorrow night for Serbia-Brazil as Group F comes to a close, with Switzerland also involved in the shake-up for qualification from that group. That game against Costa Rica will be live on TalkSport 2. Tonight, Argentina-Nigeria on TalkSport at 7. Croatia-Iceland on TalkSport 2 at the same time for Group D's conclusion. Denmark have a throw meantime, right-hand side, heading towards the last 10 minutes on TalkSport. Any chance of a goal in this World Cup tie? It would be the 100th goal, so somebody's going to hit a milestone goal if they can be bothered. Christian Eriksen tidies things up for Denmark inside the French half. Christensen out to the right-hand side of Martin Brathwaite. Gives it back to Dalsgaard. But he's got to go back into his own half and chair as he was being closed down by Giroud. Whistles go up again and the cheers for the completed passes. Chair goes back to Schmeichel. Well, they're conserving their energy for the round of 16. I'll say that for Denmark.
It's not a competition, they've won it. What have they won? Poorest game of the tournament by some distance.
Mendy fires the ball downfield to nobody in particular, and again Schmeichel will just let the ball run towards him rather than running towards it, and then guides the ball out there. Well, you can hear it for yourself listening to TalkSport, just how unhappy the fans inside the Luzhniki are with this game of football. And Kier just standing still with the ball at his feet inside his own half, waiting for a French player to come and close him down and force him into doing something. Goes back to Schmeichel once again. Schmeichel thought about giving the ball to Chair, but now Giroud's decided he's going to close him down, so Schmeichel has to go longer downfield, looking for Dolberg. Comfortably headed clear by Varane. Brought down well by Fekir. That's a poor pass though. He's looking for Thomas Lemar, but gave it away. But Brathwaite equally poor and losing out on the halfway line. But then 2 Danish players run into each other. Brathwaite and Fischer. And France get a free kick inside the centre circle, and Matt Holland can't resist having a chuckle at that one.
Yeah, I think it was actually Eriksen and Fischer, the two of them just came together right on the centre circle. Comedy.
And Zonzi for France. 8.5 minutes of normal time to play in the Luzhniki. Mbappe on as a substitute on the right-hand side, thinks about taking on Fischer, gives the ball back to Fekir. Mbappe has it once more, almost level with the Denmark penalty area. Right hand side, little step over from Mbappe. Now drives to the right hand corner of the box, out right to Sidibé, gives it back to Mbappe. 2 in the area for a cross. Giroud is one, Lemar is the other. He's gone back to Fekir, 25 yards out, tries a curling effort, well saved by Schmeichel, pushes it away to his right. Chair prevents the corner. France have a throw. Best chance of the second half by a country mile has gone to Nabil Fekir.
Yeah, he's had probably France's best 2 efforts already in this second half. I can't remember Schmeichel making too many saves. It's probably his most difficult of the game, to be honest.
France have a throw, 7.5 minutes to go. Still 2-0 to Peru in Sochi against Australia. So Denmark are going through for sure. France will top the group. But they were talking in the press conference before the game about wanting 3 wins in a row and achieving what they did back in 1998 when they did that on their way to winning the thing on home soil. Mendy with a cross now for France, looking for Fekir at the far post, goes beyond him, but it's kept in play by Djibril Sidibé, level with the edge of the box. Fekir once more, into the feet of Mbappe, lovely back heel intended for Fekir, picked up by Djibril Sidibé. Mbappe once again almost at the edge of the D, plays it behind him to his left for Nzonzi. Nzonzi clips it just to his right for N'Golo Kante. Sidibé calling for it on this near side in a bit of space, crosses in over the head of Giroud, headed up and out by Chair. Sidibé and Delaney fight for the loose ball, it drops for Fekir, plays the ball to the edge of the D. Mbappe trying to twist and turn and make some space inside the area, can't get away from 2 or 3 red shirts around him, and it's a hurried clearance in the end from Chair out for a throw.
He exchanges a handshake with Matthijs Jorgensen, who made the challenge on him. He has made a difference though, Kylian Mbappe, since coming on. He's added a little bit of quality to this game, lively, wanting to get on the ball, take people on. We haven't seen enough of that in this game.
Matt Holland alongside me, wishing, like I am, for a 100th goal at this World Cup so far to go in here at the Luzhniki. France coming forward into the area. Fekir trying to win possession. Giroud went down under pressure, but nothing doing, says the referee. And there's a clear push by Dolberg on the halfway line against Kimpembe. At this point, I'll settle for a dodgy VAR.
Well, he's just stopped France taking a quick free kick.
I don't think that, by the way.
I wonder whether that's because he wants to have a little check upstairs.
Well, there's no indication on our monitors here that VAR is currently being used for that challenge on Giroud inside the area. It was Chair that was nearest to him, but he was already on his way down, seemed to me.
Yeah, but he's not allowing the kick to be taken, is he? And now he is. Now he's got the nod to do so.
Back underway on TalkSport. Just over 5 minutes to play in the Luzhniki. Denmark 0, France 0. France showing a bit more willing in these last couple of minutes to try and find a late winner. But the ball's given away, intended for Mbappe. N'Golo Kante gave it away. And now Kasper Dolberg for Denmark. Plays the ball down the left channel for Fischer. Fischer tries to get away from Nzonzi. Good challenge, Stephen Nzonzi. And a lovely turn from Fekir to completely bamboozle Dolberg. Still inside his own half, Fekir, but he looks very comfortable with the ball at his feet. Out to the left-hand side, and Mendy with that lolloping stride down that far side of the field. Lamar finds Mbappe, gives it back to Lamar, but then he loses out the edge of the area, and Denmark can bring it away with Christian Eriksen. Eriksen's only got Dolberg up with him as he reaches the halfway line, and so Denmark slow the game down again, and the ball's fired out to this near side for Larsen, who just again kills the ball stone dead and waits to be challenged by a French player before deciding what to do with it. 5 minutes to go. It was a dog of a game at half time. The fleas have arrived in this second half, and so have the whistles and the boos of those around the Luzhniki, wanting a bit more, particularly from Denmark. I'll give France a bit of credit for the last 3 or 4 minutes. At least they've shown a little bit of willing. Denmark, under no pressure because Australia are 2-0 down in Peru, are showing nothing. The square root of nothing. Out to the left-hand side it goes for Benjamin Mendy. 4 minutes to go now on TalkSport, 0-0. And Nzonzi picks the ball up, drives infield to the centre of the Denmark half, plays a good ball in front of Djibril Sidibé to run onto, right-hand side, level with the edge of the area. Poor cross though, comfortably headed clear by Christensen. Picked up by N'Golo Kante. Varane gives it back to Kante. And now Fekir, one of the French substitute, picks it up. Finds Mbappe, the other change. Giroud feeds the ball out to the right-hand side and Sidibé. Poor first touch from Sidibé, but Fekir can help him out down by the corner flag, right-hand side. Oh, lovely little step over, just to get away for the moment from Larsen. Sidibé once more has it for France, gives it back to N'Golo Kante. Infield for Varane. Mendy in plenty of space out on the far side, and Varane has fed him. In comes the cross from Benjamin Mendy, headed clear by the first defender. But there's nobody forward for Denmark, so Kimpembe has time to pick it up. Lamar out to Mendy once again on that far side, the French left. Infield now for Stephen Nzonzi. Lamar Finds Mendy again, level with the edge of the area, left-hand side. Better cross this time, over the head of Giroud though. Headed clear by Matthias Jorgensen. Dolberg finds Fischer, who in turn looks for Thomas Delaney. And then it's given back by Brathwaite to Dalsgaard, exchanging passes with one another. And the whistles go up again as Denmark show no ambition.
No, they're happy just to pass the ball about, take the time out of the game. 0-0 gets them through comfortably, and particularly as you say with Peru beating Australia. France have had a go. Of the two sides, they're the one that's shown them the most ambition.
A little, yeah.
A little of ambition, yeah. And the substitutes have made a difference. Yes. Mbappe and Fekir have come on and actually looked lively, looked like they want a point to prove and want to say to Deschamps, we want to be in that starting 11 the next game.
Mendy again being fed down the French left, level with the edge of the area, looks to put another cross in, does he? No, he checks back onto his right foot, then sends the ball back to Kimpembe. Lamar gives it back to the centre-half once more. Kimpembe squares it now for N'Golo Kante. Minute and a half to play plus added time on TalkSport. Heading for our first goalless draw of the tournament in the stadium where the final will be held in mid-July. France, who want to be there in that final in the Luzhniki.
Every single Danish player within 25 yards of their own goal.
Out to the right-hand side it goes, and Kylian Mbappe hustles his way in field, and Zonzi plays the ball out right to Djibril Sidibe into the near post, looking for Mbappe, who tried to bring the ball into his path with the outside of his right heel, but got too much on it, and it's just gone out of play for a goal kick that Kasper Schmeichel is going to take all the time in the world to place and smack downfield.
And I'm sure that the boos will ring out around the stadium again, because the time wasting has been terrible throughout the second half from Denmark.
Even the referee issues a little sharp blast on the whistle to say get on with it. Deschamps rubs his face with his right hand as if to say, how much more of this? We'll tell you in a sec, because there's 30 seconds rather than 30 minutes. There's 30 minutes left. Don't know what Adrian Durham would do. 30 seconds of normal time to play. Schmeichel again, as you can probably tell, has the ball at his feet inside his own penalty area from the whistles around us. Fires it downfield, but nowhere near a Danish shirt. Kimpembe can bring it down and find Mandanda. And we wait to see how much more of this we have to put up with.
Oh, it's like a testimonial of a pre-season game. Don't play any extra minutes.
3 extra minutes. Sorry, Matt. But here's Mbappe. Still time for a winner. Mbappe driving towards the area. Gets into the area, right-hand side. Giroud tried to get a piece of it with his back to goal, but Denmark did just enough to get it out for a throw.
Oh, he's added some excitement to the game at least. At least he's looked to try and take people on.
Thrown in for France to try and work the ball into the area. Fekir with a cross this time. Headed out by Christensen this time for another French throw. 10 yards from the corner flag, right-hand side. But Thomas Delaney's got, it's not cramp he's got, that's what Kylian Mbappe thought he had. He's actually got a problem with his left knee, and he's going to want some treatment, so that's going to add on to the 3 minutes, Matt Holland.
He's been down about 3 or 4 times in the second half. Important player for Denmark, won't want him injured.
Delaney is important as a defensive shield to allow Eriksen to do all his best work in the games where Denmark actually want to have a go at opposition.
To be honest, he's actually played further forward today because of Christensen in playing in midfield as well, centre half. He's the one who's just sat. It's allowed Delaney to be a bit more adventurous. I'll say adventurous, play a little bit further forward, should I say, try and get closer to N'Golo Kante and Steven Nzonzi.
Delaney of Werder Bremen was at FC Copenhagen. He won a few titles there. Scored a couple in the qualifiers, Thomas Delaney, so he can, as Matt Holland suggested, get forward and get in the business end of things. And in fact, he's going to be made the final change to allow Lucas Laraja of Bordeaux to come on. Midfielder, only made his debut last year. Tough tackler. Had a good first year in Liga for Bordeaux, Lucas Laraja, but he'll only get the remainder of this additional time to see what he can do. Delaney off then. French get us back underway, trying to get a goal to prevent our first shutout of the tournament. Mendy with a cross from the left, hooked away by Christensen to the halfway line. Picked up by Raphael Varane, out to the right hand side, and Djibril Sidibe into the feet of Mbappe. fleet of foot, turns away from a challenge. Fired out to the left-hand side by Nzonzi, once again finding Benjamin Mendy. 3 in the area for a cross. Giroud's gone near post and calling for it. But instead, Mendy goes back for Nzonzi once again. Back for Mendy once more. Hit a ball along the deck, trying to get it into Giroud at the near post, but it's out of play for a throw. 2.5 minutes of stoppage time have gone.
Law of averages said we were going to get one. We were probably due one. It's been absolutely awful, hasn't it?
It has been a bit wretched, but there could still be time for a winner. Oh, as I say that, Djibril Sidibe hits the most horrible attempted pass. His studs got caught in the turf before he even hit the ball, and it's out of play. And the referee says, even though Delaney went down, he's had enough. He wants a shower and a trip home. And listen to the boos around the Luzhniki Stadium after a 0-0 scoreline, the first of this 2018 World Cup, and a really wretched 0-0 draw at that. Sometimes you can find positives to take out of a game that finishes goalless. Not this one, folks. It means that France and Denmark both qualify through this pact of non-aggression. France will win the group. Denmark will go through to face the winners of Group D that concludes tonight. But if they play like that, Denmark, in their next game, they'll get smashed to smithereens. And the French still haven't grown into this tournament either, it has to be said. They failed to win their 3 group stage games as they said they would try and do. It's finished after a dreadful 90 minutes in Moscow. Denmark 0, France 0.